Tanse, good evening. I'm Chris Nachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, which represents all 63 First Nations in the province, gave their reaction to the proposed federal budget. A budget AMC Grand Chief Kyra Wilson says does not reflect the needs of First Nations.
Right now we are dealing with a budget, and I'm going to be completely honest here, doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And what
Kyra Wilson says Canada should have consulted with First Nations leaders on how roughly $2.3 billion in budget cuts to Crown Indigenous Relations and Indigenous Services Canada might impact their people. She reminds that provincial and territorial governments do not represent the voices of First Nations people. She says there is still time for amendments and consultation, but adds engagement means little if the government doesn't listen to their answers.
We have engaged with different levels of government for so long, for so many years. No more engagement. You have the answers, we've provided you the solutions, and it should be reflected in this budget, and currently it is not. I will say that there are definitely some very exciting opportunities in regards to resource development and major projects. You will be talking to First Nations about those projects. You will be getting the input and the permission from First Nations leadership. We are ready to have those conversations, but you need to respect our First Nations perspective and our opinions and our leadership.
Two Metis Nation-Saskatchewan officials were in Ottawa this week seeking federal support for culturally appropriate addictions treatment centers. M&S Justice Minister Brennan Morasti and Addictions Minister Beverly Fullerton told the Commons Standing Committee on Indigenous and Northern Affairs that addictions and gang violence has to be addressed immediately. Morasti said jails don't work and called for more land-based treatment centers like the Recovery Lake program in Pine House that fosters Métis identity, cultural values, and language. The ministers are urging the federal government to partner with them so all Métis communities in Saskatchewan have access to this kind of programming. Fullerton said issues like this can't wait for federal budgets or parliamentary studies.
What we need now is for the federal and provincial governments to stand with us, not just with words, but with funding, collaboration, and urgency.
The Missing Children Society of Canada has declared November as Runaway Prevention Month. And with more than 23,000 runaways in Canada last year alone, the Society says more needs to be done to keep youth safe. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
The numbers are staggering. According to the Canadian Police Information Centre, over 32,000 children were reported missing in 2024. And of those, over 23,000 were runaways. That averages 63 youth running away every single day across the country. And the Missing Children Society of Canada wants to change that. CEO Amanda Pick says it starts with good communication with your children.
I believe that it is an important thing to talk about with your child prior to something happening. I think that many of us have come up in this time where we think, lots of kids run away. It's not that serious. They'll come back.
And the vast majority do come back. But leaving any safe space puts youth in harm's way.
What we know is when a child's not in a safe place, they're at risk. And times have changed, and the risk is much more significant, in our opinion, than it used to be in terms of what's waiting. And I think, so for us, it's just really important for parents to have a conversation with their children.
Pick says resources such as their free rescue app that details missing youth and listing available resources for youth and families can have a huge impact to reducing the number of runaways.
If a child does run away and is missing, then there is something that we can do as community members, and that's really activating Rescue, which is a free app, and registering for alerts, and just being aware of what children are missing and how you can help them. And if a child does run away and is missing, then let's come together as community members and find that child as quickly as possible and get them back to a safe place.
The Rescue app is available at mcsc.ca. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
The results are in. The Abnakis of Odanak and Wallinack have the proof they've been waiting for regarding American groups that claim to be Indigenous. The Abnakis in Quebec have been dealing with this issue for years, and at a recent press conference, they revealed just how much First Nations blood those who claim to be Abnaki in Vermont actually have. APTN reporter Stephanie Dusav was there.
For Brenda Gagne, the chief of the Missisquoi Abnaki Nation, she is of 99.9% European heritage. Of Joe and Marge Bruchak, writers and academics, they are of 99.9% European descent. Of Paul Pouliot, chief of the Cowsuck band of the Panacook Abnaki, he is 100% of European descent.
Jacques T. Watso is councillor for the Abnaki Council of Odanak, a community on the south shore of the St. Lawrence River in Quebec. He revealed the results of a genealogical report on 8 individuals claiming to be Abnaki from Vermont and New Hampshire.
The conclusions are unequivocal. The individuals studied have no Abnaki ancestry. Some may have distant Indigenous ancestor, but they are neither Abnaki nor close enough in time to justify any legitimate identity claim.
Mandated by the councils of Odanak and Wallinack, the report was produced under the direction of University of Ottawa's Associate Professor Daryl Leroux.
Our methodology was rigorous. We consulted about 10,000 documents, including Canadian and American archives, academic databases, and recognized genealogical sources dating from the 1600s to the 2000s.
This genealogical research focused on the leaders of the 4 groups in Vermont. They were recognized by the state in 2011 and 2012 as being Abnaki tribes. In response to the report, the 4 Abnaki chiefs issued a statement saying, "The recent so-called report published by Odanak is junk science, compiled with bias and full of factual and interpretive errors."
I met a lot of people in my life.
In the 70s and 80s, Elder Denis Obamsawin admitted to having shared his knowledge, in good faith, with people who claimed to be Abnaki. But now, he feels disappointed after hearing the results.
Those people have not walked with us, have not shared the struggles and our grief, our celebration.
In February 2025, Councillor Watso and Professor Leroux presented a workshop at the Vermont State Capitol on identity appropriation entitled, "What If We Were Wrong?"
The issue is that the individuals in these groups do not have Abnaki ancestry.
The facts presented provoked strong reactions.
Who determines that?
Not up to you to say that. Actually did the genealogies of every single family that they claim in their own documentation. There's no Abnaki ancestors.
The American Abnakis say their personal experience is just as valid as blood quantum. But Rick Obamsawin, chief of the Abnaki Council of Odanak, reiterated the following.
I think the easiest way to respond to that is blood is blood.
The leaders' intentions for the future are clear.
Will we bring all of this information to the state of Vermont? Yes.
According to Watso, the relationship with the Vermont governor, Phil Scott, is one-sided. They've been unable to meet with him about the validity of the Vermont Abnaki tribes, but he hopes this genealogical report puts pressure on Vermont.
On espère qu'avec ces démarches-là, il va, avec d'autres législateurs, s'ouvrir à faire une réforme complète du processus de reconnaissance en État du Vermont.
Stéphanie Desèvres, APTN National News, Odanak, in Quebec.
Time now to go to Vancouver Island, where APTN's Tina House brings us an update on a feature she's working on.
Tansei, I'm Tina House. We're currently in Duncan, BC, here to talk to the Cowichan First Nation band members about how they feel the recent land claim decision affects them. We also want to know about the history of the village of Clactinus and what it means to the Cowichan Nation. We'll have that story coming up for you very soon.
Thanks for staying with us. The Carney government unveiled its first budget on Tuesday with hundreds of billions of dollars in what they are calling investments in economic infrastructure to build Canada's economy. But the budget is getting mixed reviews from Indigenous organizations. APTN's Fraser Needham has that story.
At a Wednesday morning press conference in Ottawa, Assembly of First Nations National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Neepanak said her organization was pleased to see some investments in First Nations water and infrastructure, but the budget missed the mark when it comes to massive gaps First Nations people face in education and housing.
Instead of closing the socioeconomic gaps between First Nations and non-Indigenous Canadians, this budget is going to make things worse. Ignoring those long-standing gaps and environmental standards will not help fast-track resource extraction projects.
Speaking at the same press conference, Manitoba Regional Chief Willie Moore said the Liberals appear to be only interested in investing in First Nations if they are collaborative in resource extraction projects.
And recognizing that that the reconciliation is about respect and it's about justice and meaningful engagement, and not unconditional generational investment that is tied to resource extraction.
Metis National Council President Victoria Pruden said the MNC was pleased to see the 2% funding cut at Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs and Indigenous Services was not as deep as some feared. But they're still disappointed there is very little Métis-specific funding.
What's missing in this budget is the level of commitment for distinctions-based funding for Métis governments. Distinctions-based funding to ensure that Métis citizens, Métis businesses are being supported in the way that they need to be at this moment in time.
According to the budget document, programs for urban Indigenous peoples will receive $34 million for the 2025-2026 fiscal year, and then no funding for the next 4 years. National Association of Friendship Centers CEO Jocelyn Forensma said this means about a 75% funding cut for her organization.
I think I'm just really worried about what it signals for where this government's heading with reconciliation. I'm really concerned that reconciliation with Indigenous peoples is going to be contingent upon how we can demonstrate our benefit to the economy. And that's not really, what reconciliation was supposed to be about.
Liberals still need to get the budget passed through the House of Commons. They are in a minority government, so they'll need at least 2 votes from the opposition to survive a vote of non-confidence and fend off an election. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Guy Daychief heads up Indigenous Relations for Red Cross Canada, the organization he's been working with for the past 15 years. With winter almost here, Daychief spoke with our Julia Ross about how you can be prepared for power outages and other emergencies.
Guy Daychief says there's been an increase in weather-related crises in recent years, and with winter coming, that could mean more power outages as well, especially in remote communities.
Power outages are closely tied to the weather, so make it a habit to monitor your local weather through television, radio, or the Moccasin Telegraph, chatting with your neighbors or local leaders, knowing what potential hazards or weather events may occur.
In addition to checking weather reports, Daychief recommends making a plan with your household.
Making that plan with your family members, have a dry run through that plan with your household, including points such as, if you were all separated at one point, where is your meeting point going to be? How do you get in contact with each other? What are the routes to leave the community?
Then there's the emergency kit, something easily put together and stored at home. Keep it lightweight with food, water, ID, medication, cash, baby, and pet supplies.
I've heard this countless times working in response, whether it was First Nation communities or not. A kit just made that much more of a difference.
On top of an emergency kit, be prepared by keeping your home safe.
Implement items such as surge protectors, carbon monoxide detectors. I can't stress the importance of those. There are carbon monoxide detectors that have battery backup. Installing those, one on your top floor. If you have a basement, put one in your basement as well. And, keeping flashlights, extra batteries on hand, and a non-powered phone.
Daychief says in a world full of cell phones, landlines are still reliable in northern communities and help to prepare and react fast in emergencies. And if you do have to bug out, keep your vehicles ready as well.
Here at home, we often keep our vehicles at least past half. So having that thought on how far is it going to take for you to get to the next gas station or the next community in the event of an evacuation, having your vehicle stocked with some of the pre-positioned goods, such as your Go Kit.
After a power outage, Day Chief says to check on your vulnerable neighbors, elders, friends, family, anyone with high needs and health concerns. Make sure everyone in your community is safe. And stay away from downed power lines. Those things can kill you. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We want to hear what you think about that story or any other story you see here. Here's how you can reach us. Send us an email to news@aptn.ca, and to read and watch our stories, you can go to www.aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. And now to the Northwest Territories, where our Yellowknife video journalist Bruce Dela Cruz gives us a look at a story he's working on this week.
Hi there. The Yellowknife International Film Festival is back this week for its 19th edition. With the lineup stacked with award-winning Indigenous films, including Uwik Sarang Itara, or Wrong Husband, directed by Inuk filmmaker Zacharias Kunuk. Stay tuned as I explore how these films foster understanding of Indigenous cultures as well as community. That story only on APTN National News.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Thanks to Joachim for sharing this early morning sunrise from Fort Providence, Northwest Territories. Looks calm and beautiful up there, Joachim. We hope the weather stays somewhat warm before winter starts. Keep those pictures coming by sending them to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Time now for tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, Fredericton sunny and 7, Halifax 11. -1 in La Grande River, Cartwright 2. Montreal 6, Gaspé 7. North Bay 2, Peterborough 7. Thunder Bay, showers and 5, Wawa partly cloudy and 3. The Paw 0, -4 in Thompson and sunny. Gimli 3, Winnipeg 5. 10 in Swift Current, Regina 6. 0 in La Ronge, Buffalo Narrows, sunny and -2. -1 in Fort McMurray, Peace River -2. Sunny in Red Deer at 7, Medicine Hat 12. Tofino 10 in showers, Penticton 8. Prince Rupert 8, Prince George 4 and cloudy. Old Crow -10, cloudy in Rock River at -8. Fort Simpson -4, Yellowknife -8. Pawlatuck -7, Colville Lake -6. -5 in Baker Lake, Chesterfield -4. And Resolute -15, Iqaluit -2. The French version of Gino, the Fighting Spirit of Gino Odjick, was launched in Maniwaki, Quebec last week. It tells the life story of the late Gino Odjick, the notorious Vancouver Canucks enforcer. As APTN's Nanganske Rose Jacobs reports, what was supposed to be a celebration turned out to be something else.
Gino Odjick's son Tobias was at the book launch last week at the Gino Odjick Sports Center in Maniwaki, the town next door to their home community of Kitigan-Zibi. Tobias wasn't there to endorse the book. He signed a copy but didn't want to. Here's why.
We don't support this book. We don't support the things that have been said in there. I think that we all agree that this book was written without consent. So when he was past his death, where he can't deny or say that he doesn't want certain things in the book. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here today in support for me and my brothers and sisters and for our father's honor. I think there's some things in that book that were very personal and that shouldn't have been said.
Tobias says he only signed the book for a close family friend, and like his father, he has a kind heart. Tobias said his family wasn't invited to the launch, but he showed up on their behalf to honor his father. After Gino passed away in 2023, sports writer Patrick Johnson and Peter Leach, who says he was a close friend of Gino's, co-wrote the book they say highlights his hockey career and complex life experience. The English version was launched October 7th. Tobias says parts of it should have been kept private, and some family members took to social media to denounce it and call for a boycott. Leach wasn't at the launch in Maniwaki. We asked him about the family's disapproval via Zoom. He said he just wanted to provide his perspective on the person he knew for almost 30 years.
Well, I mean, some family, yes, are going to disagree with, the book itself because they feel that he wouldn't have approved of it. Then there are other families family members that were very much involved.
Leach says the biography dives deeper into the adversities Gino faced with his mental and physical hardships right up to the day he passed away. And he wants to keep his memory alive for future generations of aspiring Indigenous athletes.
We gave them the version of the human version of Gino outside of hockey, and that's what it was meant to do. It was meant to give the human version of him, and so that people can understand who he was as a person, and because he was a great person, he was a great role model.
There was dancing, singing, and a feast at this launch in support of the book and to honor Odjick where he grew up. Evan Tolley remembers his cousin as a generous man who always gave back with what he had.
He always taught me, and his favorite phrase was, "Stay in school and don't get out." So that's what gets in my heart is I want to listen to my cousin, stay in school.
Odjick was not only known as a force to be reckoned with on the ice, but to those who knew him best, like his lifelong best friend, Jan Cody, he is remembered for his kind nature and generosity.
He worked really hard to get where he was at, but he was also a really good people person. People loved him wherever we went, like old people, young people, boys, girls, it didn't matter. Everybody just loved him because he was such a good person.
Tobias went on to play some minor professional league hockey for the Birmingham Bulls of the Southern Professional Hockey League, but he is off the ice temporarily due to a knee injury. Though he doesn't support Leach, he says the ceremony was beautiful, and it was good to see the community come out to honor his father.
I think with our father's honor, it's great to honor him. It's great to look back on what he's done for the community, what he's done for the Indigenous hockey world, for everyone. It's great. We love that. We support him for that. But with this book, I don't know if that does that.
Beyond his tough exterior on the ice, Odjick was remembered here today for his kind heart and for the lasting impact that he has on his community. Nagonska Rose Jacobs, APTN National News, Maniwaki, Quebec.
And that's your evening newscast for this Wednesday. We're back with more stories for tomorrow's daytime newscast, including an update on a recent incident in Terrace, BC. Please join us then. From our HQ in downtown Winnipeg, hi miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Ekse.